Well, hello and welcome to the good ship Pip Pip. Here we are at the Clifton Winery in Lompoc, California, and delighted to have my dear friend, Mr. Steve Clifton. Come on in, my friend. How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm fabulous.
Great to see you.
Absolutely
Great to
fabulous.
see
I'm deeply honored to be here. I have known this young man for almost 30 years, and that is how long?
Since we were two.
Since we were two,
Right,
exactly.
Yeah.
So Steve Clifton has been making wine for the last 30 years, and I believe you were the first person to bring in Italian varietals into this area.
Well, I think I'm the first person that solely focused on Italian varietals.
That's it.
For sure. And there were a few things that were being grown before then. There's a dear friend, Joe Carrari, actually brought in Dolcetto and Nebbiolo and some Barbera, Sangiovese, things like that. But I think that Palmina has had the interesting moniker of being the only winery that focuses exclusively on Italian varietals.
And Mr. Steve Clifton went head to head with some Italian vintners in Italy and came third.
That's correct.
If I am correct.
Our Nebbiolo was tasted against 150 other Nebbiolo, and ours was chosen by the producers to be the number 3 in a blind tasting.
And we're going to taste, first of all, his Steve Clifton and Sons first release.
Debut vintage.
Debut vintage, 2017. I'm very excited about tasting this. Tell me a little bit about this.
So Santa Rita Hills Chardonnay from a small little vineyard on the far western side of the Santa Rita Hills, in the coldest little section of the Santa Rita Hills, out on Sweeney Canyon Road. It's called Rancho Santa Rita. And this particular part of the vineyard is Iris's vineyard. And so...
and I think you can see the iris on the label. Here we are, look at that. Beautiful label.
And this is 100% in-house. One of my employees painted that when she found out that we were going to be making a wine called Iris's Vineyard, and she painted the irises by hand. So this is something
delicious.
A little bit more citrus-based.
Yes.
Not on the butter, not on the oak side. It's got 10% new oak, but it screams of like citrus blossoms. And if you were going to put a fruit to it, the first one's going to be something in the citrus family, probably more lemony, but it's got some really like bright pear notes.
Absolutely, and a little bit of jasmine, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
It's phenomenal.
white flower.
And if someone were to go to the website, how much would this be?
This would be $55 a bottle.
55?
$55 a bottle.
Super. And I do believe that if they go to palminawines.com,
Correct.
20% discount.
PALMINA wines
Plural.
.com. And yes, there's a 20% discount for the Pip Pip crew.
Outstanding. Well, thank you for that. That's, I almost never dispose of wine. That's a terrible waste. Anyway, here we have the 2017 Pinot Noir. There is no label on this just yet. This is called a Shiner. And
Imagine that label saying Pinot Noir instead of Chardonnay.
what a concept. Good grief. These winemakers, I tell you, they're brilliant. Anyway, Pip Pip.
Pip Pip.
Tell us about this.
So this is Pinot Noir from the same vineyard source, Rancho Santa Rita from the Iris's Vineyard. Again, cold. I think what's lost on a lot of people is that the Santa Rita Hills is the coldest grape-growing region in California by leaps and bounds. And so what's really interesting is because we're further south, you think when you go further south that you're going to get closer to the equator and you're going to be warmer. But because of the Alaskan currents that come down the coast and they get pushed inland, we have the only mountain ranges that run east and west rather than north and south. So everywhere else, the coastal influence can only go about 10 to 15 miles. Here, the coastal influence goes a full 70 miles. Wow. And that allows us to be just below the University of California, Davis. They have region 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being the coldest, 4 being the warmest. We're just below the standards for region 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, there you have it. The coldest growing region for vines in California, in albeit sunny and warm, even hot California.
Well, this week has proved so.
Absolutely. This is a stunning nose. I get a lot of beautiful blackberry, blueberry, even raspberry.
I love balancing that with, this had about 50% stem inclusion, and so there's the stem inclusion. It brings in this herbal sort of note and kind of a grounding for Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir can be all fruit, and the stem inclusion brings in this tannin that sort of grounds that fruit. And I've always liked to say, it's kind of like, if you were going to cook a fish, right?
Yes.
You can take it off of the bone, or if you're going to cook a great piece of meat, you can take it off the bone, or you could cook it with the bone. We all know that the sweetest part of the meat is near the bone, right?
Yeah.
So when you're doing stem inclusion, it actually adds that skeletal sort of influence, and it's more about making a complete wine than it is about adding something.
This is an absolutely stunning wine. I say Pip Pip to the
Pip Pip.
Steve Clifton and Sons 2017 Pinot Noir. And how much is this?
This is $65.
$65, good Lord, and 20% off that at palminawines.com. I'm going to let that sit for a second. Now, I've had a number of these extraordinary Palmina wines in the past, and this is named after Paula.
Paula, yeah.
Paula.
My grandmother, or at least surrogate grandmother. She was my Nona Paula. Unfortunately, she passed away just after I'd started making the wines. And when I found her original birth certificate, her given name was Palmina.
Palmina.
She actually passed away just 3 days before her birthday in June, and she was a Gemini, and so I used the Gemini to signify an homage to Palmina.
Fantastic.
This
now,
is
this is Pinot Grigio 2019. I get a lot of honeysuckle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to me, when I started making Pinot Grigio back in 1998, most Pinot Grigios.
That's when you were 16,
It's
right?
16, exactly, right.
Right around there.
So, most Pinot Grigios, to me, taste like a really cold glass of water with a squeeze of lemon in it.
Yes.
Right? And I was absolutely steadfast that Pinot Grigio, part of the Pinot family, the Pinot Noir family, the closest cousin, the closest mutation off of Pinot Noir, can have all of the luxuriousness and all of the opulence of the Pinot Noir family, right? And it's just that people choose to make it in a slightly more innocuous sort of fashion. I wanted Pinot Grigio to have all that Pinot character.
This is so absolutely gorgeous. It's rich, and you talk about opulence. For a Pinot Grigio to have this much opulence and depth and richness, I get a lot of ultra-ripe pear, ultra-ripe apple.
Like Anjou, like the brown
pear,
skinned, and but not tart green, but softer and riper. But there's a great acidity that runs straight down the middle of it, that brings this sort of citrusy sort of cleanness.
Now, what would you pair this with? Let's be serious.
Poached pears, maybe.
Poached pears.
But
no cheese, maybe.
For me, a seared scallop. Like a brown scallop with like a lemon white wine butter sauce might go perfectly with this.
I'm not wasting that. Absolutely not. Definitely not. There we are. I say Pip Pip to the 2019 Pinot Grigio from Palmina. Now, here we have his 2012 Nebbiolo. And last night we had the 2009 Nebbiolo, and you can get that. How much is that? 2009 Nebbiolo is absolutely one of the loveliest wines I've tasted in a long time.
And we'll do that at $40 retail at 20% off for the Pip Pips.
Thank you. 2009, it is, I cannot tell you how utterly exquisite it is. And I haven't tried this.
So
Let's
this is
see.
2012 Rocca. And Rocca in Piemontese means the top of the hill. And the top of the hill is the cream of the crop. It's the same thing that you're saying. It also happens to be my two sons, Roman and Luca, their names fused together.
Clever.
Rocca. So this is Rocca. This is from the Rancho San Isidro vineyard on Ballard Canyon. Perfect south-facing slope. Just an ideal place to grow Nebbiolo.
This has so much Bing cherry.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Brightness that jumps out of the glass.
What else do I get?
Well,
in this?
underneath it, there's kind of like a little balsamic vein. You know, there's something that's a little bit more reduced or
Definitely,
more
like a vintage
umami
balsamic.
underneath.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
There's something else I'm getting out of it. Cigar.
Yeah. I typically in the Nebbiolos, I get more of a blonde sort of wrapper. You know, like Virginia shade kind of tobacco to them.
And tell me, how much is this 2012 Nebbiolo?
This retails for $50, and we have 20% off for the Pip Pip crew.
Absolutely. Good Lord. That's outstanding. I say Pip Pip
Pip Pip.
to the 2012 Nebbiolo and Steve Clifton, my dear friend of almost 30 years.
It's wonderful to see you. It's great to taste these wines together, and thank you for sharing them with your friends.
Oh, you're so welcome. My pleasure. So, palminawines.com, 20% off for our good friends who watch Pip Pip. And from Lompoc and the Steve Clifton Winery,
We say to you, Pip Pip!